Hello, everybody. Welcome. So this is our Growing Games at Google session. I'm glad to see so many people here who are interested in games. I'm Noah Falstein. I'm our chief game designer here at Google. I'm also a member of the Scalable Advocacy, Developer Advocacy Group. Here today to give you a big picture of just some of the many ways that Google supports game development. And also we have a couple of my colleagues here to go a little bit more into depth in some of the areas where we have some new developments. And I'll try to touch on some of the stuff that was also covered at the keynote here, at which I'll be ad-libbing, so forgive me. We also, if those of you who are coming to see Duncan Curtis because you're Duncan's fans, he's chickened out for the measly excuse that at any moment he may be called away to attend the birth of his first baby. But what the hell? We still love you. So, how many of you are game developers? Professional? Wow, that's great. Looks like more than half the room. And I take it most of the rest of you are probably game players? Okay, well, you're in the right place. Let's get going. So, I've been a professional game developer since 1980. And in all that time, I've only seen really one constant in this industry, and that's been the change that it goes through so quickly. So we've grown from this tiny little hobbyist market, where we were putting floppy disks in Ziploc bags, with printed out pages of instructions, to this huge industry where it touches on almost everybody who uses information technology. It's just been amazing to see the growth over time, and really there's no sign of it slowing down. I've never, in fact, seen as much promise in the industry as there is right now. If you just think about everything that's going on with consoles, mobile, web, new growth areas like wearables and VR, everything is thriving. And we're supporting all those things here at Google. But any support system for something as complex and multifaceted as the games industry has become can be a little bit hard to picture. You've got a lot of things plugging into other things and things that depend on other things. So describing what we do here at Google is similarly complex at times. We've got hardware, operating systems, software packages, and services to describe that all interconnect in all these ways. But the nice thing is that we in the games industry have a long history of having to describe these kind of complex things. You think about build trees or technology trees, skills or magic abilities that are associated with different character classes. It's the kind of thing that we do all the time in games. So if you'll excuse me for going a bit meta, let me talk about applying that analogy here to Google. And I think it's really generally pretty appropriate because as game developers, we're all really on quests, in the work that we do. We're trying to build the game, and in the way we have battles with bugs, sometimes giant bugs, and deadline dragons. We're all after that fabled golden chest of loot at the end and want to survive to be able to launch our next quest and keep going. So think of Google as supplying, the equipment, the armor to level up your skills. And whether you're just a level 7 coder looking for a new API to arm yourself, or maybe you're a level 20 game producer and you're trying to map your path to the fabled land of mobile engagement, maybe you're a demi-CEO and you're in search of a monetization spell, we can help you here. So this is a rather schematic skill tree. Unlike games where one thing directly depends on another, it's a bit more complex here at Google, so I'm keeping it simple. But if you picture the operating systems and the hardware platforms that run your games as your choice of like a character faction or a hero class, and the services that we offer as skills or spells or power-ups, you'll find it easier to see which ones of those apply to you and your games and your game development and be able to kind of mix and match as you go along. So let me go through some of these. For each of these services as power-ups, I'm going to be showing cards here that will talk about aspects of game development they help, whether it's building your game, growing your audience, engaging that audience, or monetizing the game. So let's start with the operating systems. The Android OS, we give you the API libraries and the software tools necessary to build, test, and debug your game. And Android's reach is just enormous. I mean, every day over 1 million new Android devices are activated. With Chrome, you can build cutting-edge games for the web that use tools to make it scalable and easy to deploy, able to run on multiple platforms. And the Chrome Web Store helps the interested users to find your games. And then we have all the devices that these games can run on. Android phones and tablets are the largest potential platform for games worldwide with over 1 billion installations. Just think about 1 billion installations out there. We'll be seeing games with 1 billion players at some point in the future. Last year, we announced Android Wear. You can include wearables like watches as part of your game's notification system, or as we saw with some of the great new things going on at the keynote, watches themselves are really an interesting standalone device to consider running games on. There's just so much you can do with them now. And also, to go to a bigger screen, we have Android TV. You can engage players with a variety of hardware solutions there. It's out on a lot of televisions that are coming out in the very near future. And now we also are adding games built for Chromecast to join Android's living room story. More detail in a moment from Nathan here about cast games. Google Cardboard was featured quite a bit at the keynote and very exciting. I really think that this is an area that we're going to see a lot of growth in the near future. It's our inexpensive VR solution, announced just last year at I/O, and now, as you've heard, we have over 1 million units already in the hands of the public. And think about that kind of blue ocean out there. You know, if you're a small game developer and you want to create something that goes out to, you know, over 1 million potential users and is inexpensive to develop for, Cardboard is a great choice for you. So you should check out their talks and their display here at Moscone for more updates. They've got some great stuff that they're showing. And developers have already begun to explore new terrain with our Project Tango devices. They use a human-scale awareness of their surroundings to engage players with entirely new types of games. How many of you have been over in the Project Tango section and seen some of the games they're doing? Well, I hope that all of you get a chance to catch it by tomorrow because they've got some wonderful games and non-game apps, but Tango is really going to shine for a lot of entertainment applications there. So those operating systems running on our hardware platforms can support a really wide variety of services, and they're, as I said, the equivalent of power-ups to provide that kind of enchanting Google magic you want to put in your games. So, for example, we've got Google Play. The Google Play Store, every month, Android users download more than 1.5 billion apps and games. And the user ratings and rankings on the Play Store can generate buzz to engage your users. You can place ads for your game right in the Play Store, and you can sell your apps in over 190 countries and territories worldwide. So tremendous reach there. And to go along with that, Play Game Services is a really versatile package we have that helps you build better games. Just some of the things it can do include achievements, leaderboards, cloud save. It's got real-time multiplayer and quests for your mobile, and that's Android or iOS and web games. And it lets you track specific game events so that you can analyze micro gameplay and patterns and tune your game very well. So as a designer, I find that particularly interesting. You can get down to a very deep level with what Play Game Services provides for you, and a lot of that stuff is very powerful and easy to use. Play Games has grown to 450 million users since we launched it at I/O 2 years ago, with 185 million users added in just the past 6 months. And it's the fastest growing mobile gaming platform in history. We'll be hearing a lot more about this from Ben in a few minutes, but until then, let's move on. I mentioned Google Cloud Services. It enables developers to build, test, and deploy applications on our highly scalable and reliable infrastructure. You can choose from computing, storage, and application services for your web, mobile, and backend solutions with cloud. Then Google Analytics. The best way to grow your audience is really to know who's playing your game and on what devices and where they come from. So with Analytics, you can help your designers identify bottlenecks and in flow and improve gameplay. And the next few power-up services specifically focus on increasing your bottom line. For example, AdMob and the Google Display Network that can extend your reach can help you place ads in mobile apps and on sites across the web to more users. You can earn revenue with advertising from over 1 million Google advertisers, or grow your in-app purchasing by bringing your best users back. And DoubleClick. It's another chance to let you take your in-game advertising to the next level across all the screens with ad management tools. You can integrate with top ad networks to maximize your revenue and create a gamer-friendly ad experience with things like the TrueView skippable video ads that give a better ad experience for the gamers, and also that means higher monetization for you because they're having more fun and not as frustrated. Advertising with AdWords allows you to reach new players at the precise moment that they're searching for your games. And last but definitely not least, we've got YouTube that satisfies gamers' hunger for video. You've got 95% of gamers who turn to YouTube for entertainment and information in the moments that matter to them. And you can drive engagement, grow your player base with YouTube by allowing players to easily upload and share their game capture videos. So that's it for now. We're adding more services all the time, and I really haven't even hit everything in depth. We offer a really thorough and varied set of platforms and services that can help build your games, grow your audience, engage them with these great features, and monetize your content. So here's a link, developer.google.com/games, that gives you more information on how you can start to play with these power-ups and win at this metagame of game development. And now I'm not going to test your patience by going into depth in each of these things or testing you on what I've just been talking about, but we are going to tell you more about two very specific areas. We're going to start with Nathan Camarillo here from the Google Cast team. He's going to tell you about the new services available to developers from Google Cast. Nathan?
Hi, thanks, Noah. Hi, everybody, and hello, everybody on the internet that's watching. So I'm here today to talk to you guys. Modern mobile devices are amazing tools for gaming. They give you this great experience right on the screen, and they have a ton of sensors to capture your touch and gestures to enhance your gaming experience. With all this technology that you have, wouldn't it be great if you could just experience the fun of playing a game in the same room as your friends? With Google Cast Games, you can recapture that magic of sitting down in your house and playing a game in the same room as your friends, all on your own devices, connected to a really big screen with great audio. My name is Nathan Camarillo, a product manager on the Google Cast team. And today I want to tell you more about these technologies and some of the great improvements our team has made recently to enable new experiences in the living room. Google Cast is designed to use your mobile device to drive experiences on home entertainment devices. For example, we see a 45% increase in YouTube watch time upon a Chromecast activation. And Chromecast is really easy to use. You just pick the content using the apps you already know and love, you tap the Cast button, and you enjoy the content on your TV. It's pretty easy. Our first product was the Chromecast, which has sold over 17 million units and was a top-selling streaming device, including streaming boxes in 2014. We're building a larger ecosystem of devices, from televisions to set-top boxes and streaming devices for audio. This year, we rolled out audio devices powered by Google Cast for Audio, and Chromecast continues to see tremendous success. Here at I/O 2015, we'll show you how we're improving the Cast experience by unlocking even more opportunities for game developers. And what does that mean for you as a game developer? Across Google Cast, when games and apps are connected to the TV, we see increased engagement, stronger monetization, and because the living room is inherently social, you have multiplayer games that result in more downloads for you. Because you can utilize the power of a mobile device, all the power of that platform, like payments, already exist and are available to you. Just a few months ago, in November 2014, we released our first wave of games for Google Cast. These games are really fun, and we work closely with some great partners to make those games happen. Some of those partners are here today, which I'm very happy about. I want to take a little bit of time to talk about these games because they're really great examples of how to design a Cast game in case you didn't get to try them yourself. If you played any of these games, especially Just Dance Now by Ubisoft, I expect you've got some good moves by now. As for the Cast team, well, as a group, we're better at dancing than we were a few months ago, but this is a game that really uses your mobile device's sensors to detect how you're moving, or whether you're just standing there and pumping your fist, or you're like really getting involved in using your whole body. Classic family fun is also a great theme for Google Cast games. That's why we work closely with Hasbro to bring adaptations of some of your favorite board games to the big screen. If dancing isn't your thing, maybe Scrabble Blitz is more your speed. It's fast, it's intense, and guess what? You actually have to spell things. There's no autocorrect here to help you out. We also have other classic brands like Connect 4 Quads, Monopoly Dash, and Simon Swipe. You should check out some of these great games. They really are fun for all ages. And game shows are really fun too, right? You guys like game shows. If you think about it, almost every great game show has some sort of big board full of fun and prizes and surprises. When we worked with Sony Pictures Television on Wheel of Fortune, we saw how much fun that could be to use your TV as the big board while controlling the game with your mobile device. By using a game show format for your design, you too can play at home. You might not win a giant bundle of cash or win a lifetime supply of shaving cream, but you will have a lot of fun. We also had developers making games on their own and publishing them to Google Play. It's really that easy to make a game. We noticed a game called Emoji Party for Chromecast by Troido, and we reached out to them and worked with them directly to fully utilize the cast experience. It's a fun game where these movie titles pop up on the TV, and they're all encoded in emoji speak. You compete with your friends to see who can guess them first and earn the most points, and in this game in particular, 10 players are connected at the same time through one television. Can anybody guess what this one is? Yeah, okay, this is an easy one. Planet of the Apes. These types of games go a long way toward fulfilling a dream for game developers to enable people to play games on their TVs without expensive game consoles. These games are great for cast, all these ones I just talked about. They're social, they utilize the phones and tablets people already love using, and they're surprising in the fun way that they achieve gameplay with simple, accessible design. If you're interested in learning more about the core concepts and principles of designing great games for Google Cast, check out the talk that I'm giving called Designing Games for Google Cast here at I/O tomorrow at 9 a.m. in Alcove 2. And all the games I just discussed were made using the Google Cast SDK we released last year. They use a model we call a receiver cast game. An app running on the sender, which is your mobile device, connects to a receiver device, which is any device like a Chromecast, and passes along the information the receiver needs to load the game from the cloud. In a typical Chromecast application, like a video on demand app, this is a really simple transaction. But when you make a game, there's a lot of interaction that's going on, and it's going to happen between multiple devices or web browsers. During our partnership with the titles I mentioned earlier, we found one big way that we could help to improve the game development experience for developers. That's why here at I/O, we're announcing the Game Manager APIs for Google Cast. The Game Manager APIs make it faster and easier for game developers like yourself to cast-enable their apps across all the devices we support, which is Android, iOS, and Chrome browsers, and get those devices connected to a Chromecast or Android TV. All the synchronization between players is handled through the cast receiver, which is the Chromecast. It acts like a server for the match and will store all the game state and take the role of pushing notifications to the devices when new information is available. We're excited to see what kind of innovative games you'll create and build using the Game Manager APIs for Google Cast, and now it's even faster and easier than it was before. If you want to hear more details, check out the box talks we have going on tomorrow called Game Manager APIs for Google Cast, where our engineers will walk you through the implementation of Google Cast Manager's APIs. Also, be sure to check out our sandbox booth on the 3rd floor to check out demos of the games I just mentioned and some other ones that we have in development, Catchphrase by Hasbro and Tricky Titans by Media Monks. In Catchphrase, the classic game comes to cast as 2 players stand in front of the screen, and everyone in the room can see the catchphrase on the TV. I don't know if you saw us playing this earlier today. Everyone goes crazy, shouting clues at the guessers, and points are scored by pressing a button on the mobile device. You can expect this one to be fun and loud, so please come play it with us upstairs. Media Monks created a fun game called Tricky Titan with great visuals and strategic turn-based gameplay. These giant titans are standing on top of villages, and they use large shovels to scoop up houses and people and throw them at each other. It's really clever. Both games are in development and are using the Game Manager APIs already. Now you might be asking yourself, we got this giant TV, a Chromecast, and an amazing computer in our pocket. Couldn't we do a little bit more? Well, of course we can. That's why we created the Remote Display APIs for Google Cast. There are millions of mobile devices with powerful GPUs and sensors ready to send amazing interactive content to the largest screen in the home. With the Remote Display APIs for Google Cast, this is now possible. Remote Display for Android and iOS allows app developers to take full advantage of the multi-screen Google Cast model. This is really important, and it supports one of our key principles of cross-platform compatibility for Google Cast. Whether you and your friends own an Android device or an iOS device and they come over to your house, you can all play together and have fun. So integrating Remote Display means you can harness all of those increasingly powerful CPUs and GPUs in your phone and build dual display games where you use the phone to render both a local display and a virtual one. And we handle sending the virtual display directly to the large screen via our cast protocol. As a developer, that means bigger games, more screens, and more fun. With Remote Display, you trigger the experience directly from within your game or app. It follows the same simple model I discussed earlier of all our Google Cast interactions. Just tap the Cast button and go. It increases the discoverability of the feature, and it's a big difference compared to competing technologies. You don't have to rely on the player to exit the app or game and turn on some system-level feature. They can have the experience you intended them to have. For example, in Ubisoft's racing game, Driver Speedboat Paradise, you can blast through dangerous waves and jump off ramps to fly through the air and perform impressive stunts. The team uses cutting-edge 3D graphics, AAA effects, and HD textures on a mobile device sent across the room to your screen. And speedboat racing is a lot of fun, but maybe you'd like a nice game of tennis. Rollicule has this fun, casual tennis game called Motion Tennis. You hold the phone in your hand like a tennis racket and swing your arm to choose the type of shot to make next. It's fun, intuitive, and great for multiple players, but you need to hold onto your phone tight. If you're an inventor, you might want to consider making some really cool phone strap technology or something, because in the coming years, I think the screen repair guys are going to love this remote display technology as things fly across the room. And we've all heard the phrase, when pigs fly, and for many of us, myself included, that's especially true about going to the gym. Now with Fit Flat by Break First, you can play games and get fit at the same time, and this really works. I was in some pain from testing this game. The game's really cool because it uses image recognition and the front-facing camera on the phone to control the pig. You really flap your arms and make the pig fly and collect coins while dodging obstacles. And I can tell you, everybody at the office had fun laughing at me when I demoed this to them for the first time. And you really have to get your pig, which is me, in shape. So in between flights, you can go dance with your pig or run in place while your pig runs on the treadmill. And just like these games, your real creative genius shows itself when you combine great social multiplayer with the power of mobile devices and the big screen. Come check these games out on the 3rd floor in the Google Cast area. You can create new games or even extend your existing games and applications with the Google Cast Remote Display APIs. When you do it all right, you have an entirely new living room experience, and players really get involved in the game. We've seen this happen with several great Cast games already, and we want yours to be next. So visit developers.google.com/cast to learn more as we roll this out on all platforms over the next few days. And be sure to check out our 3 sequential box talks, which will be repeated 2 times tomorrow, called Designing Games for Google Cast, Game Manager APIs for Google Cast, and Google Cast Remote Display for Games, starting at 9 and 3 p.m. tomorrow in Alcove 2 on the 2nd floor. On our developer site, we're going to provide you with the receiver SDKs, the sender SDKs for Android, iOS, and Chrome, sample games that help you get started, game debugger apps, and debug UI for the receiver, UX guidelines for Cast games, and all the SDK documentation and reference. So we really want to help you out. Make sure to check out all the demos that I mentioned before, because there's so many unexplored games just waiting to be created to inspire and excite millions of gamers. After I/O, please go make something awesome. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nathan. And next up is Ben Frenkel from the Play Game Services to tell you what's new in that area.
Thank you, Noah. So, I'm Ben Frenkel, product manager on the Play Games team, and my focus is on developer experiences. And I'm going to cover 3 exciting topics for you in the next 15 minutes. So first of all, I want to cover the mission of the Play Game Services team. 2, what services we provide developers, and 3, the impact of those services. And to help you better understand the Play Games mission, I want to start with the story of Eric Framling. Eric is in fact here today in the audience, and I will embarrass him by pointing him out over here, so just wave to the crowd, Eric. And Eric is the archetype of the type of developer we want to help with Play Game Services. He's a one-man army that does literally everything for his game Bomb Squad. And like all great game developers, Eric has a passion for making awesome player experiences. That's what his gift is. But to turn that passion into a sustainable, successful business, he needs to think about Bomb Squad as an ongoing service he delivers to players. And when we look for inspiration from the large, successful developers who already manage their game as a service, well, in addition to making awesome games, which is a prerequisite to any type of success, we observe they do 5 things exceptionally well. They have cost-efficient ways to acquire players. They think of their business as a day-to-day battle, and they rigorously set and manage their business to daily revenue targets. They're advanced users of analytics that help them identify hotspots in their business metrics so they know what to focus on, what metrics they need to improve. And they have a deep understanding of what's working and not working for their players. And almost without exception, large, successful developers who manage their game as a service have made major investments in tools that allow them to dynamically make changes to their game and deliver new content to players. And large studios will have an army of people to support each of these functions. So here's an example. They'll have large teams of developers to focus on game development, obviously, data scientists to work in analytics, live operation support teams, marketing and UA specialists, and so on. So our mission is to bridge the gap between what the large studios can do with an army behind them and what the Erics of the world can do, possibly just a one-man army. And we've made significant investments and progress towards this goal. Today, Play provides services across the board, from pre-registration, which I'll talk about in a bit, to help with user acquisition, to business management tools in the developer console like player analytics, to our suite of core game services like quests and achievements and leaderboards and multiplayer to keep players engaged with new content and goals. And these services have had a major impact on developers. And today I'll just go through a couple of examples to show you. So let's start with player analytics. It's a set of reports in the developer console that we launched at GDC earlier in the year. And throughout the development of player analytics, we worked very closely with Eric, the developer of Bomb Squad, who I mentioned earlier. And as we iterated over different prototypes, we discovered we needed a deeper understanding of Bomb Squad's in-game economy. So we developed something called the Sources and Sinks report. The Sources and Sinks report helps developers understand the relationship between the rate at which players earn a premium currency like gold coins or emeralds or tickets in Eric's case, and the rate at which players consume that. In an ideal world, the rate at which a player earns currency and consumes currency roughly nets out to 0. And when we shared this report with Eric, he discovered that he was giving away tickets at a higher rate than people could consume them. And with that information in hand, he identified a number of changes that would bring his game economy back into balance. And after he made those changes, the impact could be seen almost immediately in the Sources and Sinks report, which you can see here. The ratios flipped. And a few weeks later, average revenue per daily active user more than doubled, and average revenue per paying user grew by almost 70%. That's almost unheard of impact in such a short period of time. And in Eric's own words, player analytics has helped me home in on Bomb Squad's shortcomings, right the ship, and get to a point where I can financially justify making the games I want to make. And what we launched at GDC is just the start. We're going to continue to invest with new reports, new player segments, new metrics, new event types to make player analytics even more powerful for developers. But we all know that insights by themselves don't move the needle for your games. You actually need to be able to make updates to your game to improve engagement, retention, and monetization. And that's why we launched Quests last year, which provides developers a way to dynamically deliver new content to players without requiring those players to update their games. And that brings us to our second case study about Concrete Software. And in fact, we have another special guest here today, Keith from Concrete Software, so you can wave your hand, everybody. Also, round of applause for Keith. And Concrete Software is another great example of the type of developer we want to support with Play Game Services. They've been making mobile games for over a decade, and they've seen great success. But they're still a small company. And every minute they spend on server infrastructure, server-side code, hosting, and maintenance is a minute they could be spending on the things that they are most passionate about, which is making games. And that's where Game Services comes in, and Quest in particular. And Concrete has an exemplary implementation of Quest in their flagship title, PBA Bowling. They follow all of our best practices to a T, to great effect. And they've made Quest an integral part of their live operations strategy. And to help you understand the degree to which they've incorporated Quest into their day-to-day operations, I'd like to show you and walk you through the calendar promotions from earlier in the year. So as you can see here, Concrete launches new content multiple times a week to keep players engaged. And Quest play a critical role in each of these launches. For example, on January 7th here, a new bowling ball, the Hammer Black Widow Legend, which is a very impressive, possibly even scary bowling ball, was launched. And along with the ball, they ran an ad in the game, they promoted it through social media, they pushed notifications, and very importantly, they had a quest to support the launch of the new content as well. And the reason why they've made Quest such an integral part of their live operations strategy is because quests produce a measurable, material impact on player engagement. They found users, on the day that they accepted a quest, played close to 15% more sessions, and that the impact was sticky. And they observed close to 4% more sessions in the following days. And quests are just the start of our live operations strategy on the Play Game Services team. We're going to continue to invest in tools that support dynamic content updates, that make your game feel more alive and engaging, tools to allow you to respond to changing player needs, and tools that allow you to create more personalized and fun user experiences tailored to every player. And everything I just mentioned is available for free to anybody that integrates game services. Finally, making a successful game is still really, really hard to do. It's a lot of work, no doubt about it. But with services like Player Analytics and Quest, integrating Play Game Services is a great first step to success. So to learn more about game services, you can go to our development. There we go. I won't touch that microphone anymore. You can go to our developer site. And on our developer site, you can find our SDKs for Android, iOS. We have a cross-platform C+ SDK as well. We have a Unity plugin. So whatever tool you use, you'll be able to integrate Play Game Services. We have samples, best practices guidelines, more case studies, and all the SDK documentation and references you could ever possibly want. So now I'm going to switch gears and talk about something called pre-registration. This is what Duncan was supposed to talk about, but I will be talking about it now. And I will do it in an Australian accent. No, I will not. Because Duncan is Australian, as a backstory there. So whether we talk to developers large or small, user acquisition is really, really hard. And doing it well is considered essential to success. And generating day one buzz for your game is in turn critical to a successful user acquisition strategy. And that's where pre-registration comes in. It's a system that allows players to sign up to be notified when a game is available. It's a powerful user acquisition tool that allows developers to create large day one releases. And in markets like Japan and Korea that pioneered this practice, we've seen pre-registration result in millions of day one users of a game, instantly bootstrapping the game's ecosystem, its community, and providing a huge boost to store rankings right out of the gate. And here is how pre-registration works. So players will be driven to a marketing landing page of some sort. For example, game developer Glue has created this landing page and for their upcoming game, Terminator Genisys Revolution, which is based on the movie of the same title. I think there's old Arnold in it, and new Arnold, and robot Arnold, and all the types of Arnolds you could want. But the game is not available yet. So the call to action here is to pre-register. And from here, I would tap on this pre-registration link and be taken to the Play Store listing. And there I will see a gorgeous pre-registration page where I can pre-register. And once I've clicked on the pre-register button, I'm informed that I will get a notification the day that Terminator Genisys launches. I cannot wait. And now that I'm pre-registered, I can explore other content about the game. I can watch a YouTube video. I can read more about the details of the backstory of the game. And as I scroll down the page, I see that I can share the game with others and see other games from Glue in this case. I can also see that if I install the game by June 4th, next week I think, I get a very welcoming welcome package that includes grenades and rocket launchers and so on, exactly the types of things that I think about when I think of welcoming. At last, it's launch day. The game is ready to play. I get a notification on my device, and when I tap it, I'm taken to the game details page. And from there, I can install the game, get my reward, my bounty of weapons, and of course, very importantly, save humanity from a never-ending wave of killer robots. That's victory. So what's next? If you're interested in using pre-registration for an upcoming game or an app, you can contact your BD manager, or you can go to this link here, which will be available in the slides later on. And with that, I'll hand things back to Noah to close us out.
Great. Thank you very much, Ben. Well, just want to remind you to give us your feedback, ways that we can improve these sessions. If we don't hear from you, we don't know what you're going to want to know more about. We've got just a few minutes left here. If people have any questions, we got some microphones in the center aisle. So please feel free to line up. We've got time for, I think, just one or two more questions, and then we should be able to go. And I'm sure, come on, some of you have to have at least a few questions. All right, somebody's brave soul's coming up here.
Willing victim.
How does Cast and Google TV play nicely with each other? Because it seems like you could have a game which is broadcasting the Cast, or you could have a smart TV and have your game running on the TV. So how does that interaction work between the two of them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So that everybody at home heard that too, I'm sure. I don't need to repeat the question. Yeah, so the nice thing is if you're an Android developer and you're really familiar and comfortable with developing native Android apps, Android TV is a great platform for you to develop for. Cast is also a very good option for you to develop and create your games. Every Android TV is also a Google Cast endpoint. So the great thing is, as phones and TVs get more and more powerful, the Android TV set-top box that you buy now becomes a really powerful device for Cast content into the future.
So the pre-registration thing is a great thing for business. Like getting users up front is fantastic. You don't have to worry that much about growth in the early stages. But the problem is there a way to use something like the staged rollout or the beta release along with this pre-registration so that you ensure that when 5 million people install your game on the first day, you don't have a 50% crash rate?
The answer is yes.
Cool.
It's good and succinct. Well, you know, we're just about out of time. It looks like you're out of questions. So thank you very much for coming, and enjoy tomorrow at I/O.